新闻发布会。
Food is of paramount importance. Vegetables, staple food, and fruits are about people's everyday life. The farmers' market or the food markets are one of the key places for COVID-19 prevention and control. It is of great attention to the general society. So today we will have the press conference focusing on the COVID-19 control and management in the food markets and the wholesale market of food. Let me first introduce to you the participants. They are Madam Hu Jianping from the Ministry of Commerce, Director General Chen Xu from the State Administration of Market Regulation, DG He Qinghua from the NHC, Department of Disease Control, and Deputy Director General Zhang Zhiqiang, the Food Market of NHC, Food Department of NHC, and this is Hu Qiangqiang, Deputy Director General and spokesperson of NHC. Let me first update the epidemic. Yesterday, China's mainland reported 5 new confirmed cases, including 3 imported cases and 2 domestic cases. No new fatal case, and there's 1 suspected case in Beijing. Yesterday, 12 cases were cured and discharged from hospitals, 453 close contacts removed from medical observation, and the number of severe cases increased by 1 compared to the previous day. For overseas importation, now there are 69 confirmed cases, 1 suspected case. In total, 1923 confirmed cases, and 1854 cases are cured discharged from hospitals. There's no fatal case. By the end of yesterday, China's mainland reported that for remaining confirmed cases, the number is 409. In total, 78499 cases are cured and discharged from hospitals. In total, 4,634 cases of mortality, and 83542 cases were confirmed and reported. The remaining suspected cases numbers 6. In total, 763077 close contacts were traced, and 5589 close contacts are still under medical observation. In terms of asymptomatic infection, China's mainland reported 4 newly increased asymptomatic infection. No transfer to confirmed case, and 6 cases were removed from medical observation, and there are still 97 asymptomatic infected cases under medical observation. In total, from Hong Kong, Macau, and the Taiwan region, the confirmed cases number 1736, including 1242 from Hong Kong SAR, 46 from Macau SAR, and 448 from the Taiwan region. Over the past week, we have 60 cases cured and discharged from hospitals, 46% increase than the previous week. So we are going to continue to strengthen the treatment and realize the health of the patients. Now the Q&A part for today's press conference. Please first identify yourself. The front row, the gentleman, please. Thank you. With China Daily, recently, in some farmers' markets and restaurants, there were cases of COVID-19. It seems that the food producers and businesses are faced with more risks of infection. Any specific and more strict control requirements for such population group? We will have DG Zhang to take the question. Thank you for your question. Not long ago, NHC promulgated the revised version or the guideline for the prevention and control of COVID-19 in public places. Specifically, there are articles or information about the prevention and control in public places, such as the use of personal protection equipments like wearing masks and etc. Also, not long ago, NHC entrusted the relevant professional organizations to draft the guideline concerning the food production, and experts were invited to study carefully the transmission pattern of COVID-19. WHO documents were taken into reference, and the Chinese conditions are also fully considered in drafting this regulation or this technical guideline. And it is expected that the guideline can help guide the specific activities so as to help the general public to have the COVID-19 prevention and control as a regular activity. So for this technical guideline, it's still in the draft version, but very quickly we will invite experts to give comments on it and promote it as the final version. And also, for every step in food production and circulation, there are specific requirements, including the environmental health in the food production and the comprehensive measures against the COVID-19. I'm confident that this technical guideline will help prevent the food contamination related with COVID-19, and it will become a national standard and being promulgated. Thank you, DG Zhang. Next question, please. On the fourth row, the second journalist, please.
您好，我是卡斯社的记者。有一些美国媒体报道，世卫组织6月30号更新了世卫组织应对新冠肺炎疫情时间表，收回了中国政府就疫情爆发向其发出警告的声明。这表明世卫组织终于向世界承认了真相，即中国共产党从未向世界卫生组织报告过疫情爆发等。你们对这个说法有什么评论？中国和世卫组织到底有什么合作？谢谢。
好，谢谢您的提问。这个问题由我回答哈。您刚才提到的
Thank you for your question.
报道中的说法是完全不符合事实的。
Whatever what you have just described in your question is not the truth. Actually, in a highly transparent, open, and responsible manner, China has briefed WHO related regions and countries, and also the special administrative regions in China, the most updated information about the outbreak. Also, China has shared with the world the genetic information of the virus and constantly briefed the WHO and the relevant organizations and institutions and regions the Chinese situation. I have the Chinese and English versions of a white paper released by China titled Fighting COVID-19, China in Action. This white paper has elaborated on China's position and China's measures. After the press conference, I will ask my colleague to give you the English version of the white paper. Thank you. Next question, please.
Journalist from the second row. with CCTV. The flare-up in Xinfadi market has exposed some weaknesses in the operation of the agro-produce market. What are the most pronounced issues? What will be the measures adopted by the Ministry of Commerce to ensure the general public can have a safer consumption environment? I'd like to ask DDG Hu Jianping to take the question. Thank you for your question. Agricultural produce markets have been developed in the process of reform and opening up. We have 44,000 agricultural produce markets with 4,100 wholesale markets with a yearly transaction value of over $100 million also had a big number. In 2019, the wholesale market had a transaction value of 5.67 trillion RMB and a whole lot of transaction goods. 2.4 million vendors, and they have created jobs for 7 million people. 70% of the agricultural produce have been distributed from these wholesale markets. Agricultural produce markets are the main places where the products come to different places. After the outbreak of coronavirus, wholesale markets have been important in providing the society with the reserve of agricultural produce. The retailing market have also played their role in stabilizing the market, stabilizing prices. After 40 years of development, agricultural produce markets in China have yielded great progress. Since 2006, Ministry of Commerce have been collaborating with Ministry of Finance and supporting the standardization, the economic digital settling, testing, monitoring, and the disposal of the sewage and wastes, cold chain infrastructure, and other aspects of development. NDRC and other departments have also lent support to the development of agricultural produce markets. Localities have been upgrading these markets. Many markets have been developed into supermarkets with a better consumption environment. For a long time, the agricultural produce markets have been under the model that the investors will also be the managers. So sometimes the planning is not adequate. Infrastructure is insufficient. They are still lagging behind the needs of the general public and the overall economic and social development. So for the future, Ministry of Commerce will collaborate with other ministries and departments to further support and upgrade the development of agricultural produce markets. Meanwhile, we will promote the legislation on agricultural produce markets to ensure they can do more good to the general public, standardize and regulate the management mechanism so as to provide better business environment for the businesses and better consumption environment for the general public. Thank you. I'd like to invite the next question from the journalist on the 5th row. Thank you. With Economic Daily, we know that after the flare-up in Xinfadi agricultural produce market, many citizens feel nervous to go to the agricultural produce markets. Do we have any emergency response measures to curb the further spread of the outbreaks? I'd like to ask Ombudsman He Qinghua to take the question. Thank you for your concern on the health of the general public and the business vendors in agricultural produce markets. We know the special role of the agricultural produce markets. People working there work late hours, and sometimes because of the heavy workload, they may have a cold or other sicknesses. If there is an emergency, as you've mentioned, like a coughs or fever, they have to report to the manager of the agricultural produce. This is their first contact of reporting. And after that, they need to seek medical service, and they should avoid taking the public transportation. If conditions allow, they better call for the ambulance, or they can drive themselves to the hospitals. So there is one tip that they should timely provide the reporting, and also they should avoid using public transportation, and they should wear masks. If the person is confirmed of coronavirus, the market manager must collaborate with the pertinent departments to conduct an epidemiological survey into the close contacts. That's why I've mentioned that the manager of the market must be informed of the sickness. So even if the person has been confirmed of a case, the manager can take up the later work, collaborate and communicate with CDC to disinfect the market. Air-conditioned agricultural produce markets should also disinfect their air conditioners before it can be reused or restarted. If the market is closed because of the epidemiological result, then no other personnel or non-related materials can have access to the market further. Access must be controlled with the permission of the interagency task force's conclusion. As to when the market can be opened again, the question has to be answered with the consideration of the interagency task force only when the situation is up to standard according to the infectious prevention law. The authority which closed the market is responsible for reopening the market when conditions allow. Next question, please. Thank you. With Phoenix TV. After the outbreak of cases in Xinfadi market, has a pertinent authority went to the market to conduct a survey? What was the result of this on-site survey? I'd like to ask DDG Zhang Zhiqiang from NHC to take the question. Thank you for your question. After the outbreak of the coronavirus, COVID-19, NHC has been collaborating with other departments to look into the reasons and safeguard against the risks to prevent the transmission via the food. After the detection of the virus in food in Xinfadi market, we continued to do the follow-up monitoring. We asked the provincial authorities to carry out the emergency monitoring over the contaminated food. We focused on the cold-chained imported seafood and meat products. Thematic emergency monitoring was carried out. Once hidden risks were identified, we required the local governments and authorities to timely report. As of 2nd of July, in Zhejiang, Yunnan, Henan, 50,000 plus food sampling reports were concluded, and all this monitoring has shown a negative result. Thank you, DDG Zhang Zhiqiang. Next question, please. Thank you. With Hong Kong China Review, some seafood vendors said after the outbreak of the COVID-19 in Xinfadi agricultural produce market, their businesses suffered a lot. Will measures be adopted to help them pray over the difficulties? I'd like to ask DDG Hu Jianping to take the question. Thank you for your question. We pay great attention to the issue of the outbreak of COVID-19. The purchasing power of the general public has seen some decreases. In the first 5 months of the year, we imported 190,000 tons of seafood, $5.7 billion in value. Although there has been some increase in the overall tonnage, the per unit price has seen a decrease of 13%.
From the feedbacks, it is found that after the outbreak in Xinfadi market, except for salmon, which has been suspended for sales, all the other qualified seafood can be sold. And also, the normal marketing of the frozen seafood products from the south were usually not at the peak in this period of the year. So it was still quite normal. And also, there are supporting policies which have been promulgated and have covered the vendors in the Xinfadi market. Thank you, Madam Hu. Next question, please. On the third row, the first journalist, please. Thank you. With People's Daily. Since the outbreak in Wuhan, the wildlife trading in the food market or in the farmers' market has attracted the attention in the society. What are the actions adopted by the market supervision authorities in cracking down the illicit wildlife trading and ensuring the quality of food? Thank you for your question. We will have DG Chen to take the question. Thank you. The central government and the Central Committee of CPC have adopted a comprehensive approach, joining the efforts of the related authorities to promulgate the public notice to crack down the illicit trading of wildlife. The competent authorities have joined efforts in this regard, and we have comprehensively banned the trading of wildlife. By mid-June, the market regulators throughout the country have investigated into 450 cases related with the illicit wildlife trading, and more than 1.2 million vendors who are related with the wildlife trading were investigated, and the relevant authorities have also promulgated relevant policy notices to strengthen the sound management over the sales and the marketing of the raw meats and also other food. Furthermore, the localities throughout the country are requested to strengthen the regulation and the supervision on food-related places like the restaurants. Also, for the potential food risks, they are investigated and tried to be eliminated. In Beijing municipality, in particular, specific video and teleconferences were conducted, requesting the stakeholders to strengthen the food risk evaluation and screening. providing a strong support for the work and the production resumption by mid-June for various food categories and the staple food. We have conducted the sample tests, and all the malpractices were cracked down and punished. Thank you, DG Chen. Next question. On the fifth row, the second journalist. With the China TV broadcasting group, it is found that some netizens suggest to dismantle the confined food or farm produce markets so that air and sunshine can help to disinfect the facility. What is your response to such suggestion? We will have Madam Hu to take the question. Thank you for your question. Taking reference from the experience of other countries, especially the developed ones in the West, you may find that the wholesale and the retail markets of the raw material farm produce were conducted in confined spaces. In China, previously we had such markets in the open air, but gradually they were moved indoors. It is found that such indoor practices may have the risk of disease spreading. And for the next step, we will guide the relevant stakeholders to move the markets to the outdoor open spaces and create a healthy and enabling environment for the markets. Next question. Front row, the second journalist, please. Thank you. With Xinhua News Agency, we found that this Beijing outbreak and the previous outbreak in Wuhan are both closely related with the farm produce markets. So, what are the measures adopted to prevent future outbreaks like this? Thank you. We will have DG He to take the question. Well, for the farm produce markets, I think we need to pay attention to the environment, to the subjects, and to the personnel working in the markets. In terms of the environment, we need to strengthen the daily management. The market managers should keep alert against the potential risks and adopt sound management measures. Secondly, the facilities should be disinfected and ventilation should be ensured. Also, the daily operation of the facilities or equipment in the market should be managed soundly. Also, we should have sound disinfection on the objects and the subjects in these markets, like the handles and the weights used in the markets. They should always be soundly disinfected. Furthermore, people working in the markets should also be held accountable for the safety and hygiene of the objects they are using or the tools they are using. In terms of the objects or the products sold in the market, I think we should have the sound tracing mechanism. The sound tracing approach should be followed, and products sold in the market should always be qualified.
They should form the habit of wearing masks, keep a good hand hygiene, and keeping good social distance. I believe with these measures we can effectively prevent the outbreak in agricultural produce market. Thank you, Ombudsman He Qinghua. The last question goes to the journalist on the fourth row. Thank you. With CNS. The outbreak in Xinfadi market has again sounded the alarm for us. How can we prevent outbreaks in agricultural produce markets? What will be the measures adopted to ensure the food safety in agricultural produce market? I'd like to ask Ombudsman Chen Xi to take the question. Thank you for your question. Agricultural produce markets, including the wholesale markets, are important providers of food for cities. 70% of the meat, poultry, and dairy products, vegetables and fruits go through the wholesale agricultural produce markets to the cities. SAMR will continue to urge localities to keep a vigilant eye on the COVID-19 prevention and have a sound locality accountability system, regularize the monitoring over wholesale agricultural produce market, and we should learn the lesson from the Xinfadi agricultural produce market. We should deploy efforts of monitoring over food safety, food risks in agricultural produce markets. According to the new prevention requirements, we must ensure a clear accountability system so that the food that has been procured can be traced along the chain of supply to ensure we know clearly where there might be risk. Second, we must step up the sampling and monitoring for those products without the issuance of the place of origin and qualification. They must be banned for further use and sale. The underground or semi-underground agricultural produce market must be put under stricter monitoring. We will crack harder down on the illicit wildlife transaction, forbid the consumption of wildlife. We encourage well-conditioned localities to have a centralized live poultry culling. We will continue to monitor the prices so that the cereals, oil, eggs, and meat price are kept stable. For the wholesale agricultural produce markets and large supermarkets will be put under coordinated monitoring. For the prevention of hoarding and price gouging, we must prevent against the adulterated food. We must ensure the sound supply, stable price, and the good quality of food products on the market. I'd like to thank Ombudsman Chen Xi. Because of the time limit, we have to stop here. I'd like to take the friends of the media and the guest speakers. With that, we conclude today's press conference.